Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're up here on the second story of the Barndominium that we've been working on. And if this is your first video, man, I got a whole bunch of videos way back that you can follow along up to this point where we've been building this Barndominium. And if you're curious what a Barndominium is, it's basically a post frame style home, hence the name Barndominium, because typically post frames are used to build barn structures. There are, however, a lot of benefits to having a Barndominium or post frame style home, and we've been talking about those through those series, but this is another one. We were able to build this whole second story inside the structure once it was all completely done. And now what we've done, you'll see behind me, we've got boards laid down because we've got our subfloor down, we've got our ceiling framed in, and we wanted to make sure that our client could see what we were going to be doing up here. Obviously there's a plan, but sometimes being visual is good. So seeing exactly where those walls are in real life, you can make the changes that are necessary. So what we did was we laid these boards down, we left for the weekend. The client, we just met with them, everything is good. So now Greg and I are going to start building the walls. Because this is a raised bottom chord, instead of dealing with the potential imperfections in that ceiling and building everything as a unit and standing it up like you might do traditionally, like we did downstairs for the first floor, we're going to actually frame all of our bottom plates in right where they go with the laser. We'll then use a laser for the top plate, and we're going to frame that to our ceiling. And then we're going to come through in our layout and mark each stud and get it exact to cut and fit it right in each location. So it's a little bit more tedious, yes. However, I think it's the best way to the best result. So let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're starting to snap lines on the ground, and we've got this main line defined here, and now we're going to lay out where these bedrooms are, where the closets are, and that's what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be going around, popping measurements down to get everything, defined, snap lines, so then we have a place to put all of our framing. So this wall, Greg, 12.6, because we're going to snap these lines, 12.9.5, 14.9.5, 15.1. So that'll define the closets. Now, while we're here, we should also define where our door's going to be. Okay, and then we're going to do 36ers, which we already know we need 38. Yes. So go ahead and mark. I'm holding at 48. Go ahead and mark 10.
And then that's my jack.
Yeah, but this is just so when we lay out our bottom plates, I don't want any weird joints right here. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was trying to find out.
3, right? Jack?
No, just king and jack on that side of the door. Here, let's go ahead and run this, Greg. Just go ahead and we're going to take this to the line. Good? Yeah. Now, what we can do here is, since down below us, everything is laid out on 16 centers off of this wall, that's what I'm going to do, is we're going to lay all this out on 16-inch centers. And then we should be lined up with the studs below.
And so I hated dishes. I aced dishes for months, like perfect. I never slacked. I did them right away, and it was always perfect.
So you did too good, didn't you?
I ended up doing it for the next 4 years.
Yeah, man, you were too good. So what Greg is working on here is, because we've got walls, as you can see right here, this bottom plate, that are running parallel to our ceiling joist there, Greg is coming through and he's blocking every 2 foot in between that bay so that we can take our laser, get a nice plumb laser line from that bottom plate to the top plate, and then we'll be able to install our top plate after he's done. And I'm just going around getting all these walls ahead marked out. You can see we're starting to take some shape. This is going to be a bedroom here. That'll be 2 closets there, and you'll kind of just walk in, and these are going to be some really nice size bedrooms. Oops. So now that Greg's got that blocking done, you can see our laser line up there. We're gonna just go ahead and take our top plate and we're gonna fasten it right into those blocks. You could probably go a little further down the way. It don't matter, do whatever you gotta do. So now that we have our top plate installed, our bottom plate, we cut a stud to fit, but I wanted to show you, it's another great reason to have an LDM. It's just a simple laser distance measure. People always ask which one I use. This is the LD250. And what's nice is I've got my studs marked out and I can just go ahead and set this, and you're probably gonna say, why don't you set it on the ground and point up? Because this is a lot easier. And I can get a simple measurement, 8'2", 3/16. Now we already went down the whole length of this and it was all pretty darn close. We cut this one at 8'2", 3/16, and we'll be able to go in here and set them all right where they go. We've got all of our marks, top and bottom. We've got one bay that over on the very far end that is just a little bit taller. Not really sure why. It could be that the end truss is a little bit different than one of these middle trusses. Typically the end trusses always seem to be a little bit different because they're built with a little bit different framing. So that is possible, but a 1/4 inch isn't gonna be seen or noticed or have any problems, and that's basically what we were. So now we're gonna go through, set all these right where they belong, and we'll get them toe-nailed in place. And of course, we got the cut hub set up here. Since we've got a lot of tricky cuts with all the angles, cut hub is just so much cleaner and easier than having to put an angle, especially at a 1.5 12. It's not an exact, like let's say 4/12 that you can look at your square and put the mark on. It takes just a little bit more effort, so setting the cut hub up, it does make it much easier. So that's just really quick and dirty framing these walls. That's how I like to do it with you know, a situation where you have a ceiling already in place like this. It's vaulted, so it's not perfectly flat. We got pretty lucky though. Greg just cut all those at the exact same dimension, and from this end to this end, all but like 4 of the studs on this far end over here against the wall, they get a little bit taller, like a 1/4 inch, so as it goes. So it's not like just all of a sudden. It must tail up to that truss over there. Must be a little crown on our end wall, but pretty good. So we can go ahead and get these doorways right here in the middle, get those framed in, and then we've got our first wall done. Glass is at? I saw him. Gotta have your eye protection on. So, you know, you obviously see us use a lot of PAS loads on the site. They are a supporter of the RR channel, but I really do like them. Their toenail capabilities, the way that the tip is so aggressive, it really allows for some really good toenailing, which in this situation where we are standing our studs in place versus being built entirely and stood up. I mean, look at it's so easy to get a good grip with this tip and get right in there. So I'm just lining these up, putting some pressure on them. And I always feel right here on back and front. And then I always make sure that the stud is one way or the other on my first nail. That way, when the nail goes in, it's going to push the board ever so slightly. So here you'll see, right here, you've got this side is a little bit back from the edge of the board, right? Now, it's not an exact science. I'm just going to kind of feel it. That way, if it goes naturally, great. If not, like you see this, I'm just going to go ahead, get a little tap on my 2x, line up right where I want to be, and then I'm good to go. But look at how good this does in toenail. It just does a really, really good job. This is a pretty solid little section of wall here, but it just, with the way the door is laid out, the little wall partition framing in here, just kind of is what it is. Now what we're doing with the wall, or the doors, is we set all the bottom plate, top plate next to each other, got those 16 on center marks, but for the door framing, I'm gonna plumb the door. That way it is perfect. So I'm not gonna go off of where the wall is, even though it should be good. It's just another opportunity for us to make sure that our door is obviously as plumb as perfect as possible. So I'm gonna get my bottom where I like it. Get this close. Of course I'm out of nails, Greg, right when I go to do something. Hey, I'll just grab this other nail gun that's got nails in it, and I'll leave the one that has no nails. Leave that one for later. So once I get my bottom where I like it, I can just follow this laser line up. There, so that way we can ensure that at least our door jambs are perfect. Obviously we want all of our studs to be plumb, but you know, I just find that if I take the time to just plumb up your jamb, especially when you're hand framing one at a time, why wouldn't you, just to make sure it's perfect? And a laser is so much easier and quicker than holding a level up and trying to nail something. You can just visually look at a laser, know it's good, and hit it with a nail. All right, so now I've got my headers made up here, and what I typically do is, you'll notice for these small 3-foot doors, we've just got a double 2x4 top bottom with a 2x4 on the inside. You know, I don't know that it's really necessary for much of a header in a post frame for the most part, because we're not really carrying any of the load. In a traditional home, you might have walls with trusses sitting on them that is carrying roof load, and you need to think about those headers. Here, you know, there's no header, and this is not going anywhere either. So once I've got my cripples in place, I can just go ahead and put these in, and sometimes they're a little tight like this, and that's probably just because they're a little bowed. So when we plumbed up these jambs, I plumbed up the top and the bottom. In the middle, if there's a little bow, it's gonna get taken care of right here. There, you see that one's a little bit loose. I knew that this jamb over here had a little bit of a bow out in it, or to the side. So now what I'll do is I'll just come in and I'll screw everything together. Sometimes I like to bury some screws, places that you'll probably never see again, and that way someday somebody's gonna try to pull this apart and they're gonna be like, oh, guy used screws, awesome. And they're never gonna find that screw, so they're gonna have to pull out the Sawzall. It is what it is. Now we will fill in this upper area where our stud locations are, and otherwise that's all we're gonna do. It's kind of nice. Now we've got some doors going into some future bedrooms. This is a solid little section here. Shouldn't have a problem putting a drywall screw somewhere. All right, so for this wall here, since it goes uphill, you can't just build it, you know, and set it up. It's kind of like our other walls. We definitely have to cut each one individually because the dimensions are continually growing. So what I did was I got my layout on my bottom plate and I used the laser to plumb up this guy right here. So this is perfect. Then I use math because we know that this is a 1.5 12 pitch. So what I was able to do was type in 1.5 12 pitch on my calculator, a 16-inch run, and it gets me a 2-inch rise and a 16 and an 1/8 diagonal. So then I'm able to hook this corner and make marks every 16 and an 1/8. So I'm growing by 16 and an 1/8 every time up this top plate. And then what I did was on my last one, I plumbed up the bottom to top just to ensure that I didn't grow or get too small running that out, and it was perfect. So now I've gone and gotten all these dimensions with my tape measure real quick just to confirm the 2-inch rise. I'm glad I did that because I assumed, knowing what I know by working in this field for long enough, these bottom core trusses are not perfect. No big deal. We just went ahead, cut them all, and we're gonna get them tight, cut to fit, and we'll get them installed. So there's definitely more work involved. Ooh, that one's a little bit loose, Greg. But there's definitely more work involved in these angled ceilings. However, I definitely think it adds quite a bit to the building versus just a flat bottom truss. It would make our job easier, yes, but I think it's a more interesting interior when you've got that raised bottom chord for your residential. So there you go. That was definitely more work than a traditional flat top and bottom, but I think it's all right. Fortunately, it's just the first of many. We've got all these closets obviously to build, a lot more to build over here. 2 more full bedrooms, bathroom, utility closets, a couple of utility closets, and I think that's about it. So we're just gonna keep building walls. Six 5/8. 8'6". I always try to find, you know, obviously you want all good studs, but I always try to find some of the best ones to put along edges of things. And that is way too tight. Holy cow, that is super tight. Okay, these are gonna work. We're gonna get these other ones fastened first. I left that one full of nails for you. Believe it or not, Greg did me pretty dirty. Didn't tell me we were about out of fuel, so I didn't get to buy any fuel. I found 1 partial canister, but I think it's gonna get us through the day. I just nailed through, though, this monster section of wall. You know, if there's one thing I am good at though, Greg, it's making sure that my big wood fits in the tight, small areas.
Well, thanks to the LDM, at least this is my shirt. We're able to
Look at that, that's pretty nice. It fit in there pretty good. Greg, give me a favor here, man. Come over here and manipulate my wood for me. Kind of give me a little tweak.
You grab your wood and twist it.
We're so close to getting all these walls up, man. I feel like somewhere there's a board that's not attached. I think it's this one right here. So I don't want to grab it one day and just, since I don't have handrails on this, you know.
Yeah, that would be.
So here's a little end of the day update. This is day 2 of framing walls. Today we did a lot of framing. There was a lot of boards to cut, a lot of boards to install. So quick little walk around here. We've got the 2 bedrooms here to my left. We've still got to frame closets. There's 2 7-foot closets there, and it's pretty good size bedrooms. 12 by, I think this one's 12 by 16. Here we got the bathroom. So you'll walk in, there'll be a double vanity with a some sort of like a cabinet in the middle, separating them like a linen cabinet. And then there's a separate door here that will go into where the shower, which is back on this wall. And then there'll be a half wall here that obviously separates the shower and a toilet. So where all of our stuff is set up out here, this is all going to be kind of like a little play area. So this will be common ground, I guess, for the kids to have all their stuff. I'm thinking, I told Greg, I said, we're going to make sure to add over here at the peak, we're going to have to add some additional blocking so they can hide or hang a hoop or something. I mean, if I was living in this house when I was a kid with my 2 brothers, we'd be dunking on each other right there. There would be a hoop there for sure. So this right here is going to be the mechanical room, and where the HVAC system will sit for mainly air conditioning, but it will also be supplemental heat. Another bedroom here. This is the biggest bedroom of the 4 up here, with also the biggest closet just because of the way it worked out. And let's see, over here, also I think I forgot my Pasload nailer hanging up there. I'll have to grab that. Right here, you can kind of see the bottom wall plate down here, and then the top wall plate up there. This is defining a wall. This will be a full wall, and it will also have a closet there. So we've got to frame that. And then here we come into the 4th bedroom, which is a little bit of a different bedroom. Because all this changed, this bedroom's not a big square, but it is bigger than we thought it was going to be. Back where that light is sitting will be a closet, and then they'll have all of this space wrapped around the staircase. Plenty of room for beds and stuff, but yeah, we've still got the staircase to frame out. Nice wraparound staircase, and then we've got the sheathing to do over there on the mezzanine, which will be an open balcony. Still lots of work, and then also the wall. You can kind of see right here, that wall plate on the bottom, that's going to continue all the way and will be in line with the edge of the staircase over there, and there'll be a door out to the balcony, so that kind of locks this area off. So stay with it, guys. We're going to try to get this all wrapped up and get the mechanical guys, electricians, plumbers, whatever, all in here starting to rough things in, but we still got a lot of framing to do, a lot of blocking to do. But it's, hey, thanks, Greg. This is coming together.